Post week 7 layout, bye week over, time to get back to business. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too.
Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. The bye week is over. Hope you enjoyed it. We took a couple of days off yesterday. Had to observe, I guess we can call it an observation of the Astros. And the Texans are back at it. And it is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610. Let's get just right into it. The NFL layout. And we do normally this happens right after the conclusion of Monday Night Football each week with the Texans. Normally that's when this happens. But because the Astros were playing yesterday, because it was the bye and there was no real urgency, we're doing it tonight at a special time. I actually just got back from the Texans Fan Council meeting. Any news to report from there? I can confirm that they will be getting a copy of the jersey this week. The new jerseys, the new uniforms. Supposedly there's already new helmets. So that's exciting. They're going to get a look at the prototype. I'm sure that's going to be one of the most sacred things. They're definitely not going to show that to me. And other than that, no other news to report. Right now in the NFL, we have 13 teams above 500. We have 4 teams at 500, including the Houston Texans. And we also have 15 teams below 500. So that, 8-8 league stuff, all that kind of holding up right now when it comes to the Texans. As far as where the Texans are in the standings, let's just kind of look at this. I know it's early, but you got to have baby steps when you're covering a squad like the Texans. And I mean, I know that there's still a lot of season left, but as far as the overall playoff picture, the way too early playoff picture for the Texans right now, the Texans are one spot out. They're sitting at 3-3. They got Buffalo above them at 4-3. Cleveland at 4-2. They're going to get a chance to face the Browns on Christmas Eve. My God, what a mess that is. And then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 4-2, slightly above. And then the Jags sitting at 5-2 and leading the AFC South right now. And I think you got to give the Jags a hell of a lot of credit for where they've arrived since the Texans handed them that beatdown. They won, I think, 4 games in 19 days, 2 in London. They won a division game against the Colts, and then they won a Thursday night game against the Saints. So, I've kind of jumped on the Jags a little bit and given the Jags a little bit of crap and wondered, how legit they are. Still don't think they're a flawless football team, and we've seen that. But to win 4 games in 19 days, I think you got to give Jacksonville a hell of a lot of credit. And as we sit right now, that you've got to consider them, and they probably were before, just not as significant as they were being hyped up as. But they're definitely the favorites. The favorites in the division, sitting atop the AFC South at 5-2. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts, they're sitting at 3-4. I think they're the only team in the conference that's scoring 20 that has scored over 20 points in each game. I think Gardner Minshew's an interesting situation where you respect what Gardner Minshew does, but I don't think too many people feel like it's going to last. And maybe that's dangerous, but that's just kind of how I feel. I know he kind of sliced up the Texans, but I don't think too many people fear that and think it's as sustainable. And it looks like the Titans, and this is kind of the rumbling heading into the trade deadline. the Titans, they've traded Kevin Byard to Philly, and there's talks about the Titans having some sort of fire sale. Which brings us to the Texans. Should the Texans make a move? I think the answer to that question is pretty simple. Like, what move are we talking about? We'll get more into this throughout the week. Tomorrow, we're going to get into the CJ Stroud media availability. CJ Stroud getting all kinds of love. College Game Day, Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso, Pat McAfee just completely gawking over him. He was on Bussin' with the Boys. Taylor Lewan, Will Compton, same thing. From a PR standpoint, from a national, national love standpoint, CJ Stroud just completely dominant. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like on the field post-bye against Carolina. This is a game. If you look around the NFL, the Texans are favored by 3.5 on the road. Those are dangerous games, and that's often where you see teams kind of slip up or get caught slipping. I think this is going to be a real good test for DeMeco Ryans. How prepared is this squad? What does CJ look like? You anticipate that there's going to be some sort of struggles, but everything's been perfect so far, and people are just completely gawking over CJ Stroud. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans daily digital content. Be sure to subscribe, right along right here. #1 place to come for Texans content. We will have a special guest, usually a player coach straight off the field on Thursday. That resumes this week. Last week, obviously, the players were off. So that will take place on my radio show, In the Loop, Sports Radio 610 on the Odyssey app, as well as on Twitch and YouTube. So be sure to ride along on that. Should the Texans make a move? Look, I'm not opposed to the Texans making a move. It's just a matter of what kind of move. Now, I don't think they need to trade for Jerry Jeudy. I don't think that makes any sense. Chase Young is the name that comes up. I don't know what DeMeco Ryans thinks of Chase Young as a fit, but I'm a really big Chase Young fan. I look at this as kind of a chess move, not necessarily a rental. If they absolutely love Chase Young, like let's say that they are in love with what Chase Young brings, and right now he has 5 sacks. He was the #2 pick in Joe Burrow's draft, had a really good first year, has had trouble staying healthy, perfect makeup, leaves it all on the field. Last year, it seemed like they were being kind of cautious with him, but the reality of Chase Young is, on one hand, you're going to have people who are going to say, well, he's always hurt. And, you don't want a guy who can't stay on the field. And, that's not, you don't want to give up too much for a rental. And I understand that. But I look at it the other way, from the other point of view. He's 24 years old. The kind of talent that he has, assuming he puts it all together, is something that normally doesn't even hit the market. And from a Texans point of view, if they like him in this system, then he immediately helps you right now. He has by far more sacks than anyone on your team. You have CJ Stroud on a rookie deal, so you have extra money and can wrap him up long term. And as far as the position itself, you can use him different ways. You can kind of use him as kind of like the older guy opposite of Will Anderson. And again, he's only 24 years old. And oh, by the way, Jonathan Grenard's on the final year of his deal, and Jerry Hughes is on the final year of his deal. So in this offseason, depending on what you want to do, chances are Jerry Hughes is not going to be back in 2024, and you don't know what you're going to do with Grenard. You still like him as a piece. So if the price is right for Chase Young, I'm not overly opposed to Chase Young. I'm not opposed. I think it's kind of a buy low type of situation for me personally. I think you have an opportunity. Now, I don't know what Washington is going to ask for him. That's something you need to think about, but I would be good with Chase Young, assuming that DeMeco and them like him, not just as a rental, but as a guy that you bring in as kind of a core piece. I saw him on the Shop. I want to say, I think it was on the Shop, And I was really impressed with what he talked about with I think he was talking to LeBron and I think Maverick Carter was there. I'm not sure who else was there. But he was talking about the whole NIL thing, and he was just basically saying, he wasn't one of these guys that was like, man, I could have made so much money. He was saying, man, I love football so much. I would have played for free. I don't know if everyone can handle NIL. It just seems like a pretty good makeup, pretty good dude. But again, I don't know what the price is for Chase Young. Par 4 says Chase Young is Clowney 2.0. Are they alike? I mean, I would love for you to elaborate on that. I don't know what that means. You mean he can't stay healthy? He's got 5 sacks right now. So I don't know. And quite frankly, if you told me that I could have a 24-year-old Clowney right now on this squad with that type of makeup, I wouldn't be too opposed by that. I don't know what you think that Chase Young is or isn't, but the price at the if the price is right, I would like that. H-Town says he would like Devontae Adams. It just doesn't make sense for me. I like Devontae Adams. I'm a fan of what he does. But you're talking about $30 million to a receiver, and you're talking about a receiving core right now where Nico Collins is kind of showing you something. I think he leads the league in yards per catch. I think Tyreek Hill actually went down for whatever reason. Tank Dell's top 10. Dalton Schultz is kind of doing his thing. I don't know about trading for Devontae Adams. I don't know if he's going to get traded. So the guy for me is Chase Young. That would be my guy. What say y'all? Put it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Texans right in the playoff chase. Should they make a move for Chase? See what I did there. Let's take a look at this depth chart because there is something surprising or somewhat surprising on this depth chart that the Texans have put out. I'll put it right here so you can see. Obviously, CJ, Damian Pierce, Andrew Beck, Robert Woods, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Tunsil, Jones at guard. Healthiest offense you've had last year. We don't know what's up with Juice Scruggs. Might be a little bit longer than anticipated, but as far as the offense, as healthy as we've seen it all year. On defense, you still have Will Anderson, Malik Collins, Sheldon Rankins, Jonathan Grenard. But Christian Harris is currently listed as a backup. Blake Cashman, who's playing the best ball of any of the linebackers, he's your most versatile guy. He's the starting Will, and you have Christian Harris backing him up. So that's the one thing that's interesting. Tavier Thomas should get him back. Shaq Griffin, Steven Nelson, Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie. But Christian Harris backup right now. Maybe he figures some stuff out. But yeah, that's pretty interesting what they're getting out of Cashman and what's going on with Christian Harris. Other thing that someone asked me today, and would you trade Derek Stingley? I know it's crazy, but would you consider, like, if you're trying to bring in someone, would you trade Derek Stingley? And if the answer is no, I get it. You got 2 more years of the rookie deal. You're hoping he can turn into, a cornerback 1. But with Derek Stingley, there's obvious questions about the durability and availability, and how good is Derek Stingley when he's on the field. Would you consider trading Derek Stingley? I probably would not. But with that said, the thing that would kind of maybe lean towards it making sense for someone to want to. Do you think cornerback's a need next year? I think that will kind of tell you how you really feel about Stingley. I can see JM says absolutely not. I get it. I wouldn't be like actively trying to trade Derek Stingley. But my thing would be, and can't trade the 3rd overall pick in year 2. I get that. I completely understand that. I don't disagree with that. But my thing would be this: if you really want to take a step back, because that mindset right there, you can't trade the 3rd overall pick in year 2. What about like the Jets and the 49ers, they basically gave up on quarterbacks in the top 3 in year 2. So how long do you hold on to guys? And my biggest question is after this, like after this season, when the Texans when the Texans have their roster laid out, and you factor in that Steven Nelson is going to be a free agent. By the way, Pro Bowl caliber ball from Steven Nelson. Shaq Griffin's going to be a free agent. I think those are kind of guys that you can kind of bring in for a year. How much of a need do you think corner is going to be? And that would be the question I would ask. And I think it would kind of, in a way, counter or maybe confirm what you think about Derek Stingley. Like if the draft comes up and let's say they have the whatever pick with Cleveland and there's a corner, how much of a need do you think corner is? How good do you think Stingley can be right now? I think it's a decent question. Again, someone asked me the question. I wouldn't actively do it, but I mean, what if there's something you really like and they want to kick the tires there? I don't even know, like hypothetically, what his trade value would be right now. Like, what do you think someone would trade for Derek Stingley? That kind of tells you a lot as well there. But yeah, in a perfect world, Derek Stingley gets back on the field, he balls out, and you feel pretty good. That was just something that someone asked. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans as we continue the Week 7 wrap up here in the locker room. Here's DeMeco Ryans addressing the media types about the Texans heading into their next game.
We have our hands full this week for sure.
Talking about Bryce CJ evaluation.
It was a good process going through the draft, evaluating both guys, Bryce, and CJ. Both guys that you've seen for both of them, they had a lot of experience. They played a lot of ball in college, and it was clear to me that both of those guys were the top 2 quarterbacks coming out in this draft, and they both, I think, done a really nice job. It's tough on rookie quarterbacks with what they're asked to do coming in. It's a lot on their plates. I think both guys have handled it pretty well. Yeah, their defense is a really good unit. I think it starts up front with Brown and Burns. You want to play good defense, it starts up front. They have 2 good players up front, and they bring it every snap. Really talented players. Starts on the edge for sure with Burns. We have to make sure we have eyes on him and get him handled because he can wreck a game. So starts up front with those guys. In the back end, they play sound coverage. Right, guys fly around at the linebacker position. So it's a really good defense we're going against as well. Yeah, with Thomas starting as the play caller, I'm happy for him to get the opportunity. He's been a fast riser in this league. Going against him with the Rams, he's done a really nice job there with the running backs, tight ends. And now for him to get the offensive coordinator and also the play caller gig, I think speaks to the type of coach that he is. And, how much respect those guys have for him. So I know Thomas will do a really nice job of putting those guys in position to make plays. And I know, as any coordinator, that's what you want to do. You want to put your players in position to make plays, and Thomas will do his best job to do that for us. Yeah, adding Majay is a young pass rusher that we wanted to add. Like giving him another chance here to see what he can bring to our unit. His first day was out there today, so we'll see, throughout the week how Majay gets, adjusted to what we do. But really like Majay coming out of college, and like what he's done the past, last year in Arizona. Thought he was effective in getting after the quarterback, so excited to add him to our team. Getting Tank back is big for us. Tank, as we all seen, he's made big time plays every game.
Tank's gonna be full go Sunday.
He's consistent guy that we can count on when we need a big play. So it's exciting to have Tank back, and just thankful that he's healthy and he's back, feeling better, and he's ready to roll. I'm curious, when you started here, what did you feel like was The most important, piece for me and what I wanted to implement is just a style of play, physical style of play, relentless manner of play. That's what I wanted to
Swarm.
implement, right? I think it starts there. How you
Swarm.
play the game. You want to win. You want to be recognized and
Swarm.
respected by your peers in this league. It's about what you put on the tape. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to just make sure, people respect what we put out there on the field.
Also, I don't know if it was your season or somebody else's season, not your season, but the locker room was kind of changing. You have different players in different spots, not quarterbacks with quarterbacks. What was the reasoning behind that, and why did you make it?
And my reasoning behind, switching up the locker room is to build a connected team, right? You have to build a connected locker room. And a lot of times when guys are in locker rooms, and you're always by position, you're in a locker room by your position group, you go and meet, you're with your position group, so it can get segmented at times. So I really wanted to build an environment conducive for guys to communicate and talk to each other from different sides of the ball,
Switch it
offense,
up.
defense, just making sure we build a true team environment and not an environment of it's offense, defense, and you feel kind of separated. So how do you bring guys together? It's just making sure guys are interacting the most, and I think it's gone really well with our team.
Did you feel that energy? What if he was like, nah, they didn't want to be here?
For sure, stepping back out to practice, you feel a different vibe. You feel a different energy from our guys. I think guys are refreshed. By the bye week, I feel like it came at the right time for us and where we were as a team. And guys are amped up. They're ready to get going. We're ready to go against a good team in Carolina this week.
Follow up on Duncan's first part. Yeah. You trying to implement a style. What's that balance of wanting to be physical but still have some finesse where you can be able to score quickly versus when you're too finesse where you can just go move right up and down the field but you have very little stuff. So what's the balance of trying to create?
Balance of physicality with finesse. I like this question by DJ.
I feel like the game is played one way. It's a physical game. That's what football is all about. When the game was first invented, it was meant to be played physical. And that's how I learned football, and that's how I believe it should be played. And that's just a style, a brand that I want to put on the Texans. And I think we're starting to build, that type of brand where we're a physical football team.
This franchise wasn't at the 500 mark, struggling to get wins. When you face a team like Carolina that hasn't won, is there any danger of like, hey, the record, or are you not worried about
A look ahead. Whew, they better not be looking ahead. You ain't there yet.
For us, we understand every team, as you guys
Woo.
saw over all the games this
And
weekend.
get there.
Right. Every team, any team can be beat. So we don't take anyone lightly. We know we watch the film. So we know Carolina is a good team. We know what they can do. And so we don't take anyone lightly. We know we have to bring our best every week, and we expect the other team to bring their best each week. So we have to be on top of our A game. After the bye, we just took a look internally, and we just want to see where our guys can improve and get better. Right? We've done a lot of good things over these first 6 weeks, but there's also a ton of room for improvement. And we showed that to our guys and gave them some things to work on. So I just want to see our guys continue to improve on the areas where we're weak. We just want to continue to improve that and see, how good can our team get week after week. All right. Go ahead.
Stingley question. Okay.
Yeah, with Stingley, I think his recovery process is going. He's on schedule. It's like planned. He's doing well. Juice, same way. We'll see where he ends up over the next week or so. All right. Thank you.
There you go. It's DeMeco Ryans right here during the bye week. So we'll see what happens. They damn sure can't look ahead of anyone. I know we're all excited. I know the Houston Texans have the full attention of the sports fan. I know they're one game out of the playoff spot right now, and the schedule appears to be light. But hey, it can go a number of ways, and they are not in any position to look past Carolina. It's the next test for DeMeco Ryans. We'll see what happens. CJ Stroud continuing to get all that love. We'll see how he begins the back end of his historic rookie season. The trade deadline at the beginning of next week. We'll see if the Texans are active. Could Chase Young be a name? What's there to look out for on that? And playoff chase. I know a lot of people were rooting for the Colts the other day, and some are rooting for the Browns. I'm looking at the wild card right now. The division will shape up. I want the Texans to rough up the wild card guys, and they still got a lot of division games left. So that's where I'm looking. Tell me where you're looking. Subscribe, like, right along. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans daily digital content. Hope everyone enjoyed the bye week. We are back in business. CJ Stroud Day tomorrow. Nightly streams coming through, content coming your way, trade deadline, etc. We're back in the mix. We're back in the swing of things, and we are all in this together. Thanks for coming through.
To the city too, landlocked, got the game in the headlock, localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We #1. You don't need to try your luck.